BC Times.
Thank you. Welcome back. We're back with Member of Parliament Alex Atamanenko. Thank you for coming back. And so we're going to go back to that question that we asked before the break, which was how do we make government accountable? Now, I've never been to Ottawa, and probably most people here never will be either, to walk through the Parliament or any of that. So you're in a rare and very important role to bring our voice to the people, the voice of the people to Parliament. How do we make that voice louder and make government more accountable for their actions?
Well, I think in the long run we have to change the system so that we have some sort of proportional representation. So that the government in fact represents those people that voted for it on a proportional basis. You know, that's something that we believe in federally, our party believes in, and hopefully if we ever have a chance to form government or to influence government, we can get some kind of system in so that the government then truly will represent what the people that it
So then, if I understand you correctly, you're in favor of a referendum of our voting system.
There has to be a change in how we do this.
Right.
And, whether it's a referendum or a vote, there has to be some better way for people to be represented in the federal government.
Now, a friend told me that politics has changed from when he used to be in politics. And it's changed from having dreamers like Tommy Douglas leading on platforms full of risks and revolutionary ideas, and some ideas that were so revolutionary that people thought he was crazy for even thinking them, never mind running an entire platform and party on those ideas and virtues, to having what we have in our current system, pollsters that call you at night to find out what's popular here, what's not popular there, where you'll win in what section here and what section to write off, and it seems as though and then set up a whole bunch of stats for it all. Do you think that that's how we run politics?
So you want my opinion?
You
won't tell anybody.
No, I promise. So how's this? Don't answer as a member of Parliament. Answer as Alex.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think we often, my party is just as guilty. We rely on focus groups. We go to these meetings and they say the focus group says we got to look at these issues. So then we have to look at these issues instead of saying, what's our vision?
Mm-hmm.
What's our vision for the country? You mentioned Tommy Douglas. Other people, you know, conservative. John Diefenbaker had a vision. Pierre Trudeau had a vision. It's up to us to have a vision, and instead of spending money on all these focus groups, maybe spend it on grassroots organization to get that vision implemented.
Well, I mean, we have some great things about Canadian history. We have the 40-hour work week, workplace safety, universal health care, education, all these social programs that we as Canadians are known around the world. And I can almost guarantee that if the pollsters that how we run politics today, if they were running politics back then, we would still not have any of those programs. They were brought in by people that had a vision and had the backbone and the spine to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to run on this, and if I fail, so what, I tried.
And a lot of those programs were brought in with the NDP exercising, having that balance of power. And one of them, you know, in regard to unemployment insurance, for example, or pensions,
yep.
we were the ones that were able to move that agenda along. So Medicare is a prime example, because the vision was there. And I think the next election, I think it has to be run on what's our vision for Canada. You know, then we want to have all these things that you mentioned aren't possible if we lose our independence.
So then I get the feeling that, you know, if those were dreamers that took a risk, you know, what Tommy Douglas said in Saskatchewan, back then I believe it was the CCP. CCF, sorry. And they took that massive risk to bring in health care. And when they got in power and started bringing it out, all the doctors in the province walked out. They went on strike. They, you know, so they took a massive risk. Is it fair to say that the NDP or any party is going to start to dream and start to take the risk that we need to make the country better and stop losing millions of dollars of the EI fund into some sort of slush fund somewhere else, to stop taking away money from healthcare and to stop slashing our education budget in such a way that nobody knows that it's happening until the thing falls apart.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. We need to have a vision to move ahead in this country, and I believe that our vision has to be to save our country, because all those things you mentioned aren't going to be possible if we become a 51st state of the United States. And right now, if you look at all the agreements, you look at, we talked about protectionism, we talk about free trade. All of these agreements favor the big corporate sector. You know, it's ludicrous, for example, that we have farmers in the Okanagan who are producing apples who can't make a living because we get apples being dumped from Washington State in our country. It's an example.
Yeah. So we're just about out of time here. So what do we do?
We, as citizens, we get involved and we vote. You know, there's something like 40% of the people. I know how many people here don't vote. You know, 40% of the people in Canada do not.
More people vote. It's an actual correct stat that more people vote on Facebook and on any other for Canadian Idol than vote in their actual election. More people care about what farm, about mob wars and all those things than what happens in their own government.
You know, you challenge the people. I challenge people to come out when the election starts to ask questions, to hold our feet to the fire, so we have those candidates have the answers. So we become involved because we actually ultimately get the government that we deserve.
True.
If we don't vote, then we don't have a say.
But it also does come back to the fact that we're inspired by our leadership.
Yeah.
And our leadership, I feel, has to definitely take that step first to say that we are going to lead us somewhere that we want to go.
Exactly.